Good morning. Good morning. Change it to speaker view. All right. So today's class is movement and meditation. So we will move and end with a meditation. So make sure you have whatever props you need to make that ending meditation comfortable. And we'll actually just get right into moving. So come onto your back. I think I'm warm enough to take my socks off. Oh, I didn't turn on all my lights. Let me. So just start on your back. And arrange your legs in a way that just feels supportive for your lower back. So that may be knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and you can let your knees knock together, or you can let your legs go long. But just take a minute just to rock your head from side to side here. And you can let your hands rest. They're along your sides or on your pelvis. But just feel the connection of the floor underneath your head. And feel the layer of your skin sliding over your skull. And just feel that. Kind of waking up those tissues. And now you can start to let your legs get involved. So as you look to the left, you can kind of windshield wiper. I mean, if your legs are long, why don't you bend your knees? Windshield wiper your knees to the right. And then as you let your head look to the right, you can drop your knees to the left. And so now you can feel that rocking on the back of your head and the back of your pelvis. You can notice the texture of the mat under your feet and how your feet need to rock as you move. And you can let these movements get bigger, and maybe your knees even come toward the floor. And you could start to let your arms come in. So as your knees drop to the left, you could reach an arm alongside your right ear. So your head won't be able to turn as much. We're just kind of tapping into all of those layers and waking up that fascia layer that really creates our whole body awareness. Just take another breath moving there. And then come back to center with knees bent, feet on the floor. And take some little pelvic rocks here, pushing your lower back into the floor and then exaggerating that low back arch. Just rocking forward and back on your pelvis. And now you can imagine your sacrum as a clock. Your tailbone is 12 o'clock. And see if you can just move around until you lean on 3 o'clock. And then your lower back vertebrae, the lowest vertebrae is 6 o'clock. And then lean over toward 9 o'clock. Tailbone is 12 o'clock. Rock around to 3 o'clock. So now you're just kind of making a circle here with your pelvis. And go around in this direction a couple of times. And then just switch. So lean over to 9 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, and 12 o'clock. And then come to neutral. Inhale and peel your spine up into a bridge. And then just gently roll it down. And you can let your arms become part of this as you inhale and sweep arms overhead. And exhale, lower everything back down to where you started. Let's just do 2 more. Really think about moving your spine in as many parts as possible. Next time your hips come down, just step your feet about 1 footprint away and push into your heels to lift again. You can let your arms come or just keep them where they are. And lower down, and then step your feet another footprint away from you. Push into your heels, lift your hips, and turn on the backs of your legs in a little different way. Maybe 1 footprint more. Your toes may not be able to come down. You can just ground into your heels. Bent knees, lift your hips. You can feel that real turning on your hamstrings. And then long legs on the floor. Really ground into your heels. Draw your shoulder blades together. You can push into your triceps and lift your hips up any amount. Mine don't even come off the floor, but I can feel that effort of trying. And then release. Bend your knees again. Lengthen your right leg up toward the ceiling. And then bend that knee into your chest and then push your heel away so your right leg just hovers above the floor. So straight right leg hovers above the floor, and then that straight right leg lifts back up toward the ceiling. Bend your knee and then push it forward to hover above the floor. So it's kind of this bicycle pedal motion. Do that a few times. And then we'll just switch directions. So you'll take that straight right leg and lower it to hover, and then bend your knee into your chest. Straighten your leg up, lower your straight leg, and bend it in. And the next time your leg gets long toward the ceiling, we're just going to externally and internally rotate this straight right leg. So you're moving right from your hip joint, internal, external rotation. Just a few times so your knee and toes stay tracking the same direction. You're just pivoting this ball and socket joint right where your leg and your pelvis come together. And then bend that right knee and find the same thing. So now you've kind of got a longer lever. So you'll draw your heel to the right and then heel to the left. But the movement's still coming right from that hip joint. And do that one more time. And next time you get externally rotated, so your knee is out to the right, just cross your right ankle over your left knee. Flex through that right foot. Draw your shoulder blades together, push into your left heel, and just lift your hips into a bridge here with this figure 4 leg. And then think about keeping your pelvis level with itself, so you're not dropping your right hip down. And then lower. Release that right foot to the floor and lengthen your left leg up toward the ceiling. And bend your knee and then push that heel away from you so that straight leg hovers above the floor. And then lengthen your leg back up toward the ceiling. Bend into your chest. Push it straight to hover above the floor. So just move there in that pedaling motion. Guess if we were really pedaling a bike this direction, we'd be going backward. And then switch. So straight leg drops to hover, bend your knee into your chest. And now we're going forward. Just do that a couple of times. Slow and smooth with intention. And then let your leg go straight up toward the ceiling. Knee and toes track together. So internal, external rotation. So just that straight right leg is pivoting at your hip joint. And your leg does not have to be like straight up. It can lean forward a little bit. Do what feels available for your lower back. And then bend, 90-degree bend in that knee. And again, just find that internal, external rotation. So just kind of tick-tocking your heel from side to side. Next time your left leg is externally rotating, so your knee is out to the left, you can cross your left ankle over your right knee. Energetically, use that leg strength to push that left knee away from you. Flex through your left foot, push into your right heel, and lift into a bridge. And then lower down. Unwind. And then just bring your knees into your chest and use your hands just to steer those knees in circles. One way and then the other. And we'll just roll to one side and come up to hands and knees. Just find your table and circle around. One way and then the other. And then just bring the backs of your hands to the floor, fingers facing each other, and just rock from side to side. So palms are face up. Just load your wrists in this way. And then replant your hands and lengthen your right leg back behind you. We'll do some hip cars here. So contain those low ribs in, okay, and keep your pelvis level. Bend through that right knee, push your heel toward the ceiling. Keep your pelvis level as you externally rotate that right hip so your knee comes out to the side. And then bring your knee toward your armpit, into your chest, heel to the ceiling. We've done this a million times before. Just really steer and stir that hip in as big of a circle as you can make. And then switch directions. So start with knee to chest, knee to armpit, out to the side, and heel to ceiling. After you've done 3 there, you're going to take your right foot and step it outside your right hand for a low lunge. You can come up onto your fingertips or even have a block here. And just find some movement here. You can hula hoop your hips around. And then we'll bend and straighten that right leg. So you can walk your hands back. You can bring your weight to your thigh. Just greeting that hamstring. We really engaged them when we were laying down. So let yourself kind of get friendly here with opening those hamstrings. Lean forward into your lunge and tuck that back toe, but feel like you're squeezing your front leg and your back leg toward each other to come up and reach high. Get a nice stretch through that left side. And then lean halfway forward, bring your hands by your hips. Push into that right heel and float your left knee up off the floor. We're going to come into balance on our right foot, but we'll have a straight left leg that will just hover. So push into that right heel and you'll just slide your left leg in So you come to hover that left foot just right next to your right. Bring your hands to your hips, and then you're just going to pivot and open that left foot out to the left, and then come back. So this action's happening in that internal and external rotation of this right hip, and that foot's grounded on the floor. You're just going to pivot back and forth. Let's just do one more. And the next time you externally rotate, bend into that right knee and step back into a warrior two. And open your arms. You can lift your toes and really feel your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel on each foot connect with the floor. And then you can ground your feet. Let your pelvis move, but think about taking your femur bones toward the back plane of your body and then lifting up through your lower belly, right above your pubic bone. And then find a side angle pose. Right forearm on right thigh, left arm alongside your ear. And just breathe. You can take that right glute and kind of draw it underneath you as you push into your left heel and reach out through your left fingertips. And then take your hands, plant them to the floor, lift that back heel, and step back to a downward facing dog. And just pedal out your feet here. And then notice the difference from one side to the other. Bring your knees to the floor. And we're back to our table. Lift your left leg behind you. And we'll find those hip cars on the other side. Take your knee out to the left, in toward your armpit, to your chest, and back up. Into your armpit, chest. Last one this direction, and then we'll switch. So don't exaggerate that lower back curve even as you're lifting that leg behind you. Try as much as you can to let all this action come from your hip, not your spine or your pelvis. Let's do one last one. Did we do an extra on this side? And then step your left foot outside your left hand. I like to come up on fingertips. You can use a block. Just stir around in this kind of wide lunge. And you can play with straightening and bending that left leg. Walk your hands wherever they need to go. And just notice if one side is different than the other. And bend into your knee. Find that engagement of your core by drawing both legs toward each other. And reach up into your low lunge. Long stretch through the front of that right hip. And then lean halfway forward. Tuck those back toes and float your back knee up off the floor. You're going to use that strength of that right leg is going to pull, the strength of your left leg is going to pull your right leg forward. So you come to a standing balance, just hovering your right foot off the floor. And then we'll externally rotate that right hip. So your right foot turns to the side. Sorry, your left hip is going to move. So your action's coming from your left. I'm really getting my lefts and rights mixed up today. But just go. So you're taking this floating foot and turning it, but all this movement is really happening deep in this left hip joint. And then bend into your left knee, step your right foot back into your warrior two. And just take some time to check in here. So you can build this from the ground up. Lift your toes. Feel that weight in your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel on each foot. And move through your pelvis. And think of taking those femur bones toward the back plane. So you're finding some space in the back of your sacrum and lower back. And then lift up deep belly right above your pubic bone. Left forearm to left thigh, right arm alongside your ear. Really find an expansive, supported side angle pose. And take one more breath there. And then cartwheel your hands to the floor. Lift that back heel, step to downward facing dog. You can sway from side to side, pedal your feet out. And then inhale to look forward. Come onto your tippy toes, and then soften your knees, just take a walk. All the way to the top of your mat. Find your parallel feet. And then inhale, come to a halfway lift, long spine. And feel that length through your hamstrings and that engagement to lift you. And then let yourself fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back into a lunge. Exhale, left knee down. Inhale, reach high. Tuck your back toes. Exhale, halfway forward. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Float your back knee up. And then we'll come to that standing balance. This time, bring your left knee into your chest. So use the strength of the back of that right leg to slide that left leg in. And just bring your knee up to about a 90-degree angle. You can hold on to your hips. And then just turning from that right hip, you'll let this left leg come out to the side and back in. Out to the side and back in. Next time you come to that external rotation, just step back to your warrior two, grounding through that heel. So you've got this open external rotation. Okay. And now we're going to take this and lift our back heel and come into a lunge. And then open back up into your warrior two. So you can keep your hands on your hips as you move here. Or you can play with your arms out as you warrior two and up as you lunge. And it may be kind of a balance play. Just feel that articulation through those hip joints and really find space, but also stability and strength. So you don't need to move fast. Let's move into our lunge and in warrior two. Grounding through that heel. Drop your left hand, reverse your warrior. And then exhale into side angle pose. You can be forearm to thigh this time, or maybe sneak your hand down and hold inner ankle or fingers to the floor. Find some external rotation of that right upper arm wherever you are. So you're engaging through the back of that shoulder, so your chest is open. And then bring your left hand to your hip. Look at your right foot and just take your toes to the right of your right pinky toe. So further, and we'll move into half moon pose from here. So remember that strength of pulling with that right leg to slide your left leg in and then float your left leg up, any amount. So you've got external rotation happening in this hip. Your inner arch is parallel with the floor. Draw your shoulder blades together. Maybe your legs straighten. Maybe you reach left arm up toward the ceiling. And then look at the floor, soften into that right knee, and then just step your left leg down into a standing forward fold. And sway from side to side, bending one knee and then the other. And then find a place in the center. Inhale, halfway lift, just symmetrically engage the backs of your legs. And then exhale to fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, right foot back. And then let that knee come to the floor. Draw your knee and your heel toward each other to inhale and reach high. Tuck your back toes. Come halfway forward. Bring your hands along your hips. Lift that back knee. And then feel like you're really using the strength of the back of that left leg to slide yourself into your standing balance with your right knee up into your chest. And then external, internal rotation. Just 3 or 4 times. But you're working on this happening from your left hip. So you're not really trying to open up from that right hip at all. And then step back into your warrior 2. Settle here for a second. And then float that right heel up and square your hips to the front. And then ground your right heel down. And then lift it up. And then bring it down. And you can use your arms. And move with intention here. Just do one more lunge. And then warrior 2. Inhale. Reverse your warrior. And then exhale. Side angle pose. Forearm to thigh. Or maybe you can grab your inner ankle. Or fingers to floor. Broaden through that left chest. So you can engage through the back of that left shoulder to find external rotation in that left shoulder. And then bring your right hand to your hip. Look down at your left foot and place your left fingers kitty corner from that left pinky toe. Use the strength of that back leg to slide your right leg in and then lift it any amount. Flex through that right foot, and your inner edge of your foot, your arch side of your foot, is parallel with the floor. Maybe straighten that bottom leg. Maybe float your right arm up toward the sky. Standing forward fold. Just bring that right foot down. And sway your hips from side to side. Let yourself just bow. Inhale, halfway lift. Find that even engagement in the backs of your legs. And exhale, just fold. Inhale, all the way to standing. Reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Play that with that one more time. So ground through your right foot and just hover your left foot from here. Okay, find that external rotation of your right hip. So then you'll just pivot on that right hip so your left foot turns out to the left. And then come back. So remember that pivoting. We'll open up, and then you can soften into this right knee and just hover that left leg out to the left, and then come back. So we're just kind of playing with the stability in this right hip, coming into our half moon pose in a way that's just kind of hovering, and we're really tuning into that strength. So you can just move in and out of it as you want. And play with that one more time. And then come to maybe circle out that right ankle. And then we'll just do the same thing on the other side. So you'll just float that right foot up off the floor, pivoting just in that left hip joint. You can open out and back. And just do that a couple times before you open out and play with hovering that right leg back any amount. And just notice if one side feels stronger or a little more stable than the other. Let's just do one more breath of play there. And then come back to center and shake it out if that standing foot needs some attention. You can find that there. Find your dot at the top of your mat. Inhale and reach high. And then exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back into a lunge. Keep your knee lifted and ground your right heel. And then come on up for warrior two. Straighten through that right leg. And then draw that right outer hip back. So you're really deepening the hip crease there. Reach your right arm out. And then let your arm come down. And let yourself open into your triangle pose. So feel your weight equally between your left and your right foot. Lift through both arches. And then you can kind of ground through your right big toe ball mound. And then from there, engage through your right outer hip. Maybe your gaze goes up toward the ceiling. One more breath there. And then bend into your right knee. Just bring your hands to the floor. Step back into downward facing dog. And collect your breath there. Look forward between your hands And just step your left foot forward into your lunge. Ground your right heel and bring yourself up to your warrior two on the other side. Straighten through that left leg and deepen this left femur bone back into that hip socket as you lean and reach. Okay. And then you can drop your hand to your ankle, your shin, and reach right arm high. Find some external rotation of that left upper arm. So you're kind of opening through that left armpit. Your chest is broadening. You can lift all 10 toes and then feel like you're kind of pushing your feet away from each other. And let that grounding into the floor lengthen your spine out through the crown of your head. You can bring your toes down. Engage through that left glute underneath you in a way that's supportive but not rigid. Right? You're not made of stone here. Right? You're still elastic. Let your breath really flow. And take one more breath. And then bend through that left knee. Plant your hands. Make your way to your downward facing dog. And as you're ready, bring your knees to the floor and find a child's pose. You can sway your hips from side to side. Let this feel friendly for your lower back. Let your knees be as wide as they need to be to really let yourself kind of release and relax here. You can always use stacked hands under your forehead. And feel your belly expand against your thighs. And feel your breath expand into your lower back, into your bottom ribs, and out to the sides. Walk your hands back towards your knees. Just shift your hips to one side. And just find a comfortable seat. So if you want to sit up on something, you can. We'll do just a little hip work before we stay seated for our meditation. We'll take our right leg, just grab your outer foot and your outer knee, and stay active through this right ankle. So you aren't going to sickle your ankle. Right? You'll flex through that ankle. And from here, you just can kind of rock. And let your arms kind of hold the weight of this leg. So we've done some pretty deep strengthening work in those deep muscles around that hip socket. So see if you can just kind of let that relax and release and use your arm strength to move your leg. And let your leg be pretty passive, or your hip at least. I want you to stay active through your ankle. So if this is super easy for you, you might bring that shin closer in. You could bring maybe a forearm under your ankle. Or you could even bring that flexed foot into the crook of your elbow. You just kind of rock yourself here. And now we'll just take that right ankle and stack it on your left knee. So you can sit up tall, and there may be a bunch of space between your right knee and your left foot. You could always grab a block and kind of wedge it there so you have some leverage to push that right knee down onto. Just let yourself kind of sit tall and breathe into that right hip. And sitting tall may create enough sensation, and that's fine. Or you can bring your left hand outside that right knee and find a little bit of a twist here. And then unwind and lead with your heart to fold forward any amount over that right shin. And if having your ankle stacked on your knee is too much, you can just cross your leg and fold there, okay, with crossed legs. Think about finding some length through your lower back. And then come on up and release that. Kind of shake your legs out. Windshield wiper your feet. And then pause for a second. Just notice the difference from one side to the other. And then we'll move on to rock our left leg. So stay pretty active through that ankle. And hold your outer foot. But see if you can really kind of relax in that hip joint. So your ankle's active, your knee is stable, but you're just kind of swinging in that hip joint and finding some space there. And then as it feels friendly, you can bring that shin closer in toward your chest, but don't let that really compromise your spine, okay? So if lifting this just makes this happen, right, then here's way more honoring of the integrity of your structure. So you kind of think of lifting your chest as you rock that shin closer to you. And then take that left ankle and stack it on top of your right knee. And if you like, you can wedge something there. So you have something that you can push that left knee down into. Or you can just reach for your other ankle. Long spine. And right hand outside that left knee, you can let yourself find a twist. And then unwind your twist. Lead with your heart to fold forward any amount. And you can take that left ankle and just bring it to the floor under your right knee. If the forward fold with the stacked shins is just too much. And breathe in and out of your nose. And come on up. Lengthen both legs. And just windshield wiper those feet in and out. So a really loosey-goosey internal-external rotation. And get yourself ready for meditation. Find whatever props you want. You can set yourself up in a really supported shavasana if you want to be laying on the ground. Or you can find something to sit on. I'm just going to move a little closer. Bring all my supplies over here so I can sit just a little closer to you. And just set yourself up so that your knees, if you're sitting, so that your knees are the same height as your hips or even a little bit lower, just so that you don't have to be gripping here. We've done a lot of work there. Might even feel good just to kind of massage deep down in those hip creases and just remind all those tissues and muscles to relax. And then let your eyes close. And just notice the aliveness in your body. And let your breath just smooth itself out. It doesn't need to be forceful. It can just be soft and easy. And you can let yourself really focus on the exhale. That sense of really just letting go. As I've been thinking about this class today, for our book club, we've been reading a book by Dr. Edith Eva Eger, who was a Holocaust survivor. And, years and years after the end of the war, she immigrated to the United States. She was married. She had children. The trauma of her experiences really affected the way she could function in the world. And she went back to school and she became a therapist late in life, in her late 40s. And one day, a boy was assigned to come to her. And he was he said as he came in, "It's time for America to be white again. I'm going to kill all the Jews, all the niggers, all the Mexicans, all the chinks." And immediately, right, she says, "I thought I would be sick. I struggled not to run from the room. What is the meaning of this?" I wanted to shout. I wanted to shake the boy and say, "Who do you think you're talking to? I saw my mother go to the gas chamber. I would have been justified, and maybe it was my job to set him straight. Maybe that's why God had sent him my way, to nip his hate in the bud. I could feel the rush of righteousness. It felt good to be angry, better angry than afraid. But then I heard a voice within. Find the bigot in you, the voice said. Find the bigot in you." She said, "I prayed for the ability to meet him with love. I summoned every image I had of unconditional love. I wondered if it was possible that this racist boy had been sent to me so I could learn about unconditional love. What opportunity did I have in this moment? What choice could I make right then that could move me in the direction of love?" She said, "I didn't say much more than that during my first." She just said, after he talked, she said, "Tell me more." I didn't say much more than that during his first visit. I listened. I empathized. Sorry. and I had taken responsibility that I not perpetuate hostility and blame, that I not bow to hate and say, you are too much for me. Which says we have the capacity to hate and the capacity to love. I remind myself that each of us has an Adolf Hitler and a Corrie ten Boom within us. Which one we reach for, our inner Hitler or inner ten Boom, is up to us. As we ponder on the circumstances that we find ourselves in our country, and how those circumstances ripple into the relationships that we have and the intimate encounters that we have with people that we love and cherish. It's important that we understand what it's like to live in fear. And that fear closes us off from love and faith. And those are the sources of power. And fear often comes from the sense that our deepest needs will not be met, that somehow we will not be safe, that somehow we will be cut off from any sense of belonging or connection. As you sit with yourself here, just invite you to notice what it is that you're feeling in your body. Are there any places of tension or resistance? And like Dr. Eger did with that boy, can you just go to that place and say, tell me more? Tell me more. And when we can do that within our own experience, when we can start to unravel what it is that we are afraid of, when we can create some space we can start to feel that the ground of our being and the fabric of the universe really is love. That we can let go of that resistance. And we can start to see that same fear in those that we come in contact with. And meet that with an open, loving, tell me more. Notice if your mind's wandering, if any tension has crept into your body. Just bring a friendly gentleness on that. Focus on your exhale. Just to bring you here now. You can find that sense of love and friendliness. And see if you can find a sense of a smile just behind your eyes. Hold that sense of a smile inside of your mouth. And breathe that sense of a smile in your heart space. And feel that light just really flood your awareness. And bring your hands to your heart. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste. Thanks, ladies.